not done a YouTube video in I don't even know how long, so I'm bringing it back. So I got this really interesting question today. Could I make a video on like my education journey? So I'm like, yeah, I should do that. It's a little bit interesting. I think most people don't necessarily know of my educational journey, so let's do that. Gigi's sleeping right now, so we're good for a little while. Hopefully we don't have any cries in the background, but we'll see. All right, so high school, I was a basketball player. I love basketball and I wanted to work with basketball players. So hopefully one day I will, but I'll put that on the back burner for now. But anyways, in high school, I wanted to work with basketball players. So I said, let me be an athletic trainer. And then we did like a report on like the careers that we wanted, and athletic trainers did not make as much money as I would like to make. So I thought, hey, let me be a physical therapist because they can work with basketball players and they make a little bit more. So I went into college as a health science, physical therapy, I don't know what it was, but a health science undergrad major. So did my 4 years at University of Hartford in the health science field. Did really well in undergrad, sciences, functional anatomy, blah, 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 biology, chemistry, things like that. Did well, partied a lot. Didn't really do like much with like sports or anything like that till I think my junior year. And I'm like, hey, let me get my personal training certification because I was getting a little chunky, needed to lose a little bit of weight because the drinks, the eating, the not working out because I had straight hair and I had to maintain the straight hair, so it didn't work out as much. So I'm like, okay, let me get into personal training. So I studied, I did it through ISSA, had an open book test, passed it, and I got that certification, and I didn't really do anything with it. And then my senior year, I got this job at the YMCA working with kids and stuff. So I thought, hey, maybe this could be like my way in to work in the gym eventually one day. So I started at the Y and I was just working with the kids. I didn't really do anything with my personal training. And I was just in school, just doing like regular schoolwork like any other person, partying on the weekends, studying during the week, doing my work. And again, didn't do anything with my personal training certification. Oh, as I was in undergrad, did like a lot of like working out again to start trying to like lose some of the weight. Hair got curly because I needed to work out. No big deal. And so I graduated and I was like, okay, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I wanted to go to physical therapy school. I don't know what else I would do. So ultimately I ended up starting PT school, which started like 2 weeks later. So I had like a 2-week break from my undergrad graduation and I started PT school. And I was like working with the kids again while in PT school, just doing my regular stuff. It was a lot more difficult than it was in undergrad, and I was working at the same time. So I was just doing like my regular stuff. I was into what I was doing, but some of the things that we were taught, we were just like taught like, okay, this is what you see with this is what you see with this is how you treat this. And they never really like gave us like a why or like an introduction to like, I don't know, I always just felt like I was being taught like, okay, this is this, this is this, this is it. There's not like a building upon like knowledge and to like try to like figure out why to get somewhere. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm still doing it. I'm like, whatever, I'm just doing it. And then we got into like the courses where we talked about like, not like sports specific injuries, but like things that I could like relate to a little bit more, because before it was like more like patho and stuff like that. Stuff that I kind of wanted to know, but not necessarily wanted to know everything about. So we got into that course where we were talking about like musculoskeletal injuries, like things that I deal with now. And it was like a report on like, I think it was like an ankle sprain or something like that. And I was told that we had to do it like one specific way. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I could do that. But I'm like, okay, what about this, like all these things kind of like go together, and I'm like, oh, so I put all this stuff in there, and I'm like, wow, this is such a good report. Like I like thought about this, I integrated this, and blah blah blah. I end up getting a D, and I'm like, what? Like I worked so hard on this. This is like so good. And then the teacher told me like, oh, you weren't supposed to put this in here. You're supposed to do it like this. You're supposed to do it like this. And it's like, I'm supposed to do it this way, but that's not the way. I feel like that's not the way it is, and that's not how the way I saw it. Like I don't like being told like, okay, this has to be a certain way. You got to do it this way, because I'm a little space cadet. I'm gonna think about things in like a little different. I'm gonna think about things like why this happened. Oh, this can contribute to this. Like a lot of things are always going through my mind, and it's never just like one straightforward answer. So you'll never hear me like, maybe sometimes give you a straightforward answers, because I'm always thinking about a whole bunch of different things. So yeah, that happened. And I think that was pretty much like the rest of that course. Like I struggled with it a little bit just because I'm supposed to do things a certain way, and I didn't necessarily see things that way. I kind of, and it also goes to the fact like they didn't teach it to me in a way that made me like want to grasp it. Like I need to know why, or relate some things to like other things to like understand like, okay, this is why I'm learning it, this is what I need to do, this is whatever. So yeah, that happened. And just like fast forward through the curriculum, and I'm just going through the motions, just doing everything. I'm passing at this point, and I think I'm getting it pretty well. So towards the end, like I'm like closer to like my graduation, about to do clinicals, and then one of my classmates, I noticed that she's doing her strength and conditioning specialty certification, and I'm like, I could do that too. So I start studying for it that summer, and I study really hard, because I want to work with basketball players, right? So I study hard and I pass a test, and that eventually leads me to working at the Y as like a personal trainer. I worked with some of the people with like disabilities and stuff like that. I taught group exercise classes, and I really enjoyed it, and I was really good at it. Still not basketball players, but I really enjoyed it. I liked working with people. It got me to be able to like talk to people better, made me think a little bit more critically, because I love to think. So I graduate school, and I go back to one of the places that I did my internship at, and it was pretty much outpatient orthopedic. And I also worked with my mentor in a different location, still at the same company. I'm like, okay, my mentor, he's so smart. I gotta be like him. I gotta step my game up. So I'm like taking course after course after course. So like every month or so, I'm taking like different courses. There was instrument assisted soft tissue mobilization. There was craniosacral therapy. So craniosacral, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. So craniosacral therapy pretty much has to do with like everything from your head is connected from head to toe. So there's a cerebral spinal fluid system in your brain, and it kind of makes cerebral spinal fluid, and then it absorbs it back up. So pretty much that could be felt anywhere in the body, based off of fascia. So pretty much that's just all I'm gonna say about that. So there's one on like triathlons, neurodynamic mobilization, things like that. So as I'm treating, like I'm like looking at things like as a physical therapist should start to look at things, and I can't remember when like exactly. I don't know, I feel like it was kind of like a whole process of like kind of starting to think like a weirdo. I think I went through a breakup, and I started just kind of just doing some like soul searching, like reading different things. I came across Anatomy Trains, which is by Thomas Myers, and pretty much has to do with like all of like the fascial systems in the body. I found a book on the mind-gut connection, pretty much talking about like how like all of like your serotonin, which is like your feel-good hormone, is all made in the gut, which is going to influence your emotions, and it's going to kind of feed back and forth to each other. I started reading about how sleep is so important, and pretty much influences like how you are able to like make memories and things like that. Pretty much just like integrating like all of these systems together, because in school we were taught like the traditional medical model, and I don't believe that is necessarily the best thing for us. Like in the United States, we talk a lot about sick care, I would call it. So we get sick and then we fix it after we're sick. In traditional Eastern medicine, I think they do a little bit more of like you're working on like your health like all throughout this time, and then so you don't get sick. So I'm thinking more of like incorporating like all of these things that I've learned. So working on just like getting like a good sleep pattern, working on getting like good gut health, working on like moving like your fascial system, so like everything is able to function well, you're able to breathe well. I'll talk about breathing because I've actually been doing that over the past like month. And then just kind of incorporating all of these things together, because none of these systems work in isolation. They all kind of work together, and if one is not functioning optimally, the others are going to kind of lag along, and you're not going to become the best version of yourself. A little tangent, we were never taught like so many of these like different things growing up, like how to breathe, like how to influence your gut health, how to have good posture. So just kind of like going back and just looking at all the things that we were never really taught. And another book that I read was called All About Love. Just thinking about like how you love, how people show love. And it kind of just like brought me like peace and stuff, because that's gonna have to do with it too, like your inner peace, your ability to feel love, give love, things like that. So they all kind of influence each other. And it kind of brought me to, so I'm going back again. So it kind of brought me back to like last summer or something. I hated being at my job. I worked there 40 hours a week. I saw so many patients. I'd get home and I'd be like, and I'm like, oh my God. And then the pandemic hit. So the pandemic hit and I'm like, let me make a YouTube channel. So I made a YouTube channel showcasing like my exercises and like the things that I eat and stuff. And I come across Katrina. So that's, if you don't know, that's who I work for now in the Sculpt You. And we have a platform that pretty much encompasses like all the things that I'm talking about, and I'm able to bring my portion into it as well. But I think that'll sum it up pretty much for my educational journey. Anything else I wanted to say? So I do have more to come. I'm working on just like further developing my education. So I only work 2 days a week now, which is beautiful. I love it. So I'm able to like read, I'm able to take courses, stuff on pregnancy, postpartum, pelvic floor, because again, they all work together. And I do plan on doing more different things for you guys and just in general. But for now, we will see where everything takes me. Keep up with me on Instagram, Dr. Isa Maria. Join the Sculpt You app. I've heard it's a big success so far. I love everything that's on it. Subscribe to me, like my video, comment. Just continue to support me so I can continue to develop everything for you guys, and have a good rest of your night.